Welcome back to the Great Primeval Show. I am the Ark Minister, and I'm joined by Ancient Realms and Hodgepodge. Today we'll be breaking down episode 9 of Primeval Series 3, also known as Herd Logic in North America,
Eve
in Germany, and
La Revanche d'Helen Cutter
in France. Written by Paul Farrell and directed by Matthew Thompson. We see a campsite with some quad bikers peacefully going about their day. This area was filmed at Ash Tree Farm. Hearing baby bear noises, we expect this could be some kind of prehistoric bear, but... oh, that's not a bear. This baby rhino seems in distress, and as the biker turns around, we see a CGI shadow loom over him, suggesting something large and dangerous. Looks a bit off. The quad goes flying, indicating how strong this creature is, before abruptly cutting to titles. Presumably they used an air cannon to launch this in the air for this shot. Lester is on call to Danny, and seemingly suspicious of what he's up to after their conversation at the end of the last episode.
I mean it, Danny. No freelancing. Alright, you're late.
Lester previously said the same thing to Professor Cutter back in Series 2, Episode 1.
You're late, so fire me.
Sorry, sir. Stuck in traffic.
He's trying to trick you.
Based on a hunch that she's got an
Active anomaly and some mysterious woman from the future tucked away somewhere.
This is exposition for the audience, as Lester just had this conversation with Danny yesterday, so he would already know this.
Johnson's military.
We can't just storm in there without clearance.
No one told Christine about this when she just turns up at the Ark every week. As Danny is spying on Johnson's HQ, he spots Wilder, Christine and Eve walking about. Why Danny has taken it upon himself to do this investigation work, rather than be a team leader, is unknown. Another maverick. Hopefully he at least had some experience from his years on the police force. He's also wearing some sort of boiler suit as a disguise.
You're in a very understanding mood today, Quinn.
It's almost as if he's saying just what you want to hear. If you look on Lester's desk, you can see what seems to be some kind of odd remote-looking shaped game controllers. What are these for?
Don't do anything I'll regret. I've got a feeling I'm going to profoundly regret this.
Danny pulls an Indiana Jones stunt by hiding under the truck and gains access. For a second it looks like he's been run over. This location was filmed at Ascot Racecourse.
In Lester's apartment, Connor is asleep on a chair, yet Lester is already at the Ark. What time is it, and do they not drive to work together anymore like in episode 6? Connor is surrounded by all his mess in his designated spot in the room, which is taped around like some biohazard. Lester isn't messing around. It's also funny that he's only allowed to use half the table. Lester has also put up a lot of signs around the place to instruct Connor on what not to do, which is quite funny. These include: do not drink from the carton, health and safety, do not keep any specimens in the ice trays, do not answer the front door, do not answer the phone, do not ask me why, do not sit here, do not or here, a do not sign on the stereo, do not drink or leave glass on the counter, do not eat my food, purchase your own and keep it in your fridge space, do not drink from the bottle, use a glass, do not empty the water bottle, refill it with filtered water, do not wrap up bits of food in something. And that's all the ones you can read. How many of these things has Connor done? These were likely added sometime after Connor put his socks in the toaster from episode 6 or the Diectodon incident in episode 8. Connor ignores the do not answer the front door sign when the doorbell rings and Abby arrives. Abby reveals that she's brought Rex over as a surprise guest appearance. Note that there's a pet carrier in Abby's flat at episode 6, however Abby just brings Rex over in a cardboard box for some reason.
Rex was lonely.
Somehow, this is the first time that Rex, Sid and Nancy have met each other, despite them sharing a flat together between episode 3 and 4. This interaction also fulfills Connor's line from way back in Series 1, episode 2, though it probably wasn't planned this way.
You never know, we could find a new little playmate for Rex. They could get together and talk about really old times. That's cute.
When Rex exits the box, he is making similar noises to the baby raptor from Series 2, episode 1.
I just don't want things to be weird between us.
Abby seems to be having confusion about their kiss. In any other show, couples would just be in a relationship following the first kiss. Yet Primeval continues to take its time with Abby and Connor's relationship, having this brief period where the pair don't know how to progress to that level. It's quite relatable and doesn't feel rushed.
No weird areas here. I'm being weird, aren't I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
They can move back in.
Following Jack moving out, note Abby only invites Sid and Nancy back to live with her and Rex, seemingly still too awkward to invite Connor back. Connor tries to imply living with Lester doesn't feel like home, and Abby goes to ask Connor something, maybe about the kiss, or maybe asking him to move back into her flat, but instead the anomaly detector goes off, making them leave. Rex must have been left at the apartment since Abby never comes back to take him to her flat again after this scene. Lester must have been surprised when he got home. This is also the last time we see Sid and Nancy ever. This is also the last time Rex was animated by Framestore. Also take note that the clothes Abby and Connor decided to wear today will be the only clothes they wear for the next year of their lives. Spoilers.
Meanwhile, Danny has successfully infiltrated Johnson's HQ. He ignores Connor's text about the incursion in favour of this personal mission. The worst team leader ever. The date on the text message shows 2008, likely the filming date, as Series 3 takes place in 2009. In the close-up, Danny's thumb intentionally covers the date to cover up the incorrect year. As Danny spots Eve, the camera is framed to clearly show Danny's neck scars from the baby predator in the last episode. Nice continuity. Christine mentions that Eve tried to run away when captured by Wilder in the last episode. She obviously didn't want to be caught, but how was she? We can speculate that she was in a building nearby when hearing the commotion of the bat and bug fight, and went to investigate before being intercepted.
Who are you? Who are you working for?
Cutter said the same thing to Jenny back in Series 2, Episode 6.
Who are you working for?
Eve gives Christine the silence treatment, adding to her mystery.
You're not leaving until I get some answers.
Like another manipulative woman in this show, Christine wants everything to go her way. Does she even have authority to hold Eve like this?
Everyone's dead. What difference does it make who I am?
Eve plays along and gives snippets of information here, giving her just enough mystery to keep Christine curious and soften a bit.
The predators. They destroyed everything.
How, though? We see most of the buildings in the future are still intact. The predators aren't exactly concrete eaters, or able to cause mass erosion around the future cities.
And where did the predators come from? I don't know. I wish I did.
Does Christine still have the dead one in her autopsy room?
The creature's being destroyed.
Also, we know from Series 1 Episode 6 that the predators supposedly naturally evolved sometime in the future, in the absence of humanity. But, according to Helen in Episode 3 of this series, the Ark creates them, but then Christine is experimenting on one as well. So what's the truth here? Series 3?!
Tell me what this is.
Christine asks Eve about the device she took from her back at the end of the last episode.
Anomalies are rips in time.
Eve talks about the anomalies here like Cutter does continuously throughout Series 1.
Some you can see, others are invisible to the naked eye.
This is interesting, as it could imply there are actually invisible anomalies, or more likely meaning that anomalies still exist regardless of whether they are open or closed. We will see Eve kind of demonstrate this later in the episode, when she locates a closed anomaly, which was of course invisible. Eve even alludes to knowing.
They're everywhere. You just have to know how to find them. First I have to go to the Anomaly Research Center. Wilder comes into the room and notices something amiss with the air vent. Note that Danny is looking away so he doesn't see Wilder. Christine orders Eve to be taken back to her room. Eve meanwhile takes back the strange device. With the HQ on red alert, somehow no one is guarding Eve's room as Danny enters and takes her diary.
He went in my bag.
The guard then enters with Eve.
You will not see nothing like the mighty wind.
Note that when Danny knocks him down, his hat falls off, only to be back on in the next shot.
Why the Ark?
I have to warn them.
Eve, the mystery woman, continues to be mysterious.
At the campsite, it's apparently this guy's Joe's stag weekend. His friends decide to humiliate him and tie him to a tree and make him wear a bra. Some quad bikers pass but don't help, so maybe they're in cahoots? Or just don't care? You could only imagine their reaction if their friend was actually killed by the creature here and how they'd actually feel. In the distance, you can hear a tiger roar.
Oh no! A tiger! Help! Help!
Perhaps this week's creature is some kind of big cat. Oh, it's just a prehistoric rhinoceros. Why not use rhino sounds then? The field that the rhino is in does not seem to match the forest where Joe is. The ropes tying Joe to the tree suddenly become very easy to undo. Escaping to a pit stop tent, Joe finds a baby bear stuck in rhino form. Stuck under the table football. Another CGI shadow passes over him. The team arrives at the site, and we hear classic Primeval music, which is the track that plays in Series 1 Episode 2 and Series 2 Episode 1. Enjoy this music while it lasts.
Fluke, jealousy.
Wow, look! Special Forces! I guess the backup finally arrived since the last episode, and just in time for the finale.
That's strange, my detective's gone all funny.
Yeah, so funny.
The handheld's not working properly here appears to be a dropped plotline, as it never gets addressed again. Though it could possibly be the handhelds trying to detect the nearby closed anomaly in the campsite, as later seen in the episode. The team discuss the absence of Danny, but brush it off.
Sausage? Anyone?
Anybody hungry?
Oh look, Bizarro Abbey. The music that plays here is the same tune as Raptors in the shopping mall, but with a different melody.
There's so many.
Outstanding in a field.
This is the genus Embolotherium from the late Eocene, and honestly, the model is really good. Embolotherium also appeared in episode 2 of Walking with Beasts, Whale Killer, where they are simply referred to as Brontotheres. They share similar colours, skin texture, and even use some of the same sounds. The bull is slightly bigger and darker than the cows when you see them side by side. Whilst looking good with the correct type of osteoderms like Indian rhinos, it does have the unfortunate side effect of looking like poppadoms. Despite appearing much like a rhino and the characters referring to them as such, Brontotheres were a separate family related to them and horses. The collective group are called perissodactyls, the odd-toed ungulates, as all living members have an odd number of toes on each foot. Brontotheres, however, had 3 digits on the back feet and 4 on the front feet, whereas this model seems to just have rhino feet with 3 on every limb. But this is a very minor issue you can barely make out anyway. Despite Connor saying,
Sure as anybody can be on the basis of a fossilised tooth,
we have several skulls in other parts of the skeleton for this animal. Embolotherium's name means battering ram beast, after the distinct bony protuberance on its nose. Unlike the entirely keratinous horns of rhinos, this structure is made of bone.
That would really spoil my weekend.
For some reason, this model's nose structure appears to have 3 prongs, for lack of a better word, whereas the actual skull has only 2. I suppose it could be soft tissue between the bone. Recently it has been debated how much soft tissue there would have been on the front of the head, what shape it would have taken, and its function in life. Combat is considered unlikely based on the delicate nature of the bone, with a display or species recognition function being deemed the most likely, or perhaps even a resonating chamber. You see 2 rutting, but without touching horns. As usual with Primeval, these animals are oversized, but only slightly, as Embolotherium were very large Brontotheres. There's both a male and females shown, however they share the same model and are not sexually dimorphic unlike in Walking with Beasts where the females have smaller horns. The Primeval male is bigger, but that's the only difference. The females also live in a herd structure with one dominant male, which modern rhinos aren't known to do, but is seen in wild horses, to which they are also related. Like rhinos, they also had muscular humps over their shoulders, supported by tall vertebrae. Whilst this is reconstructed, the head and neck look to be too low relative to the shoulders. It has a pointed and prehensile upper lip, similar to a black rhino, fitting considering they were likely browsers rather than grazers. You can just barely make out their teeth in some shots, and from the little you can see, they look pretty close to the dentition seen in fossil skulls. Animal noises used to represent these prehistoric almost rhinos include tigers, the Jurassic Park Stegosaurus, and Sharptooth from Land Before Time? It's not like you have literal rhinos to get sounds from. No, go the Planet Dinosaur route and opt for this instead. The baby appears to be a modified model of the adult, which at least shows differences in age. However, it uses baby bear sounds, pig squeals, and monkey cries for some reason. Their animation is a bit odd, as when they run, they appear to gallop like horses rather than trot like rhinos do, and were likely too heavy to do this. They twitch their ears like they do in Walking with Beasts, which is a cool touch. Oh, also, the concept art has a big pile of doo-doo next to it for some reason. Other than that, it is a welcome addition to the Cenozoic roster, and one of the more accurate designs in the show.
Better get this place evacuated.
Becca runs off seemingly to evacuate everyone. However, later in the episode, all the campers are still around later. Does Becca just not follow through on his own words? Abby, why did you single out this one discarded bra? Obviously it's for comedic purposes later, but without context, it's so weird. The rest of the team hear Joe's calls for help from inside the tent, just as the bull rhino appears. Abby and Sarah elect Connor to distract the bull.
Pick on someone your own size.
The bull chases Connor as he somehow manages to outrun it into a patch of vegetation where he discovers the biker body from the start of the episode, now looking like his head is backwards.
Great beasties, what's happened to his head? It's on backwards.
He's also cross-eyed for some reason. Interesting that a person's death is treated as funny, a complete shift from the earlier series. Connor stands up and comes face to face with the bull, which looks so intimidating in this shot.
The rhino has picked up the scent.
Another motorist turns up, but runs away after seeing Carl from Ice Age, unbeknownst to Connor, who again distracts it to keep his eyes on him, and then takes the buggy.
Hey, looking at me!
We see creature vision of Carl looking at Connor, however there is no effect, it's just standard view.
They're following the bull.
Modern rhinos don't live in herds, but horses do, and their herd structure usually has a dominant stallion, so perhaps the Embolotherium have something similar. With the bull away, its calls make the herd walk off in his direction. Sarah, meanwhile, struggles to dodge and evade the rhinos, but Abby just breezes through, showing her superior animal handling skills. Abby enters the tent and comes across a shirtless man. This is becoming a bit of a thing for her, isn't it, this series?
Proper good time.
Hang on, bears hadn't evolved by the time of the Eocene. Oh, wait, never mind, it's the baby Embolo.
You're not the stripper, are you?
Do I look like a stripper?
No.
Don't answer that.
Why did the baby go in the tent in the first place, and how did it get stuck under the football table? Suddenly, the mother rider remembers she has a baby and rushes back to the tent to rescue it.
She is spurred into action again.
No, the oranges! Wow, those guys are dead. How did they survive?
You gotta calm the cow down!
Calm down.
Oh yeah, great job, Sarah. She's doing the hand thing, yet another thing Jurassic World stole from Primeval. Together, Abby and Joe free the baby, which is then reunited with its mother in a nice happy ending.
What have you been doing in there? Never mind.
Oh.
No.
First Jack, and now Joe? Abby, you two-timing weasel. Joe is given an Ark-branded blanket by Becca and taken away, but not before being reunited with his favourite bra. This episode is particularly provocative for some reason, way more than other episodes.
The rhinos. Rare species.
That doesn't narrow it down. This is also an incredibly flimsy cover-up story. Where's Jenny when you need her?
Danny takes Eve to the campsite to help the team. As the anomaly begins to close, Danny takes the shepherding into his own hands.
You're gonna hit it!
At least this individual doesn't retaliate and kick the car.
We need to hit it! Let's hit it!
The anomaly then fully closes before all the rhinos are back, leaving the team at a loss, whilst Connor accidentally leads the bull back to the herd where it utterly obliterates this female's shoulder.
That's gotta hurt!
With the bull still riled up and charging, all the others start following him in a stampede towards the campsite. A cool detail is that you can see them leaving footprints, and when they're galloping, they kick up mud from the ground. The happy campers are all oblivious to the impending stampede. Note again from earlier that Becca said he was going to evacuate the campsite, and yet everyone's still here. You know your team leadership is questionable when the mysterious woman asks,
Are you insane?
Eve reveals the device from her bag, which has a very interesting symbol now showing on it, identical to that of the map on the artifact in episode 6. Very curious.
You told Johnson you didn't know what that was.
Eve doesn't respond to this, instead instructing Danny to do what she says. Very curious.
I'll explain later, just take me there now!
This line is a very get out of the way of the plot line, used in Doctor Who.
I'll explain later.
This shot is very similar to the shot from episode 4 of Prehistoric Park when Nigel lures the terror bird with meat, or episode 2 when he's being chased by the bull mammoth. Danny and co attempt to make the civilians flee, which Becca and the Special Forces were supposed to be doing earlier. Wait, is that Joe in the background? Did he not think to tell anyone about the dangerous herds of giant rhinos? What happens in the stripping tent stays in the stripping tent, I guess. Instead, Special Forces start shooting at the stampede with live ammunition, which Abby takes issue with, which is a subtle reference to how Cutter responds to the creatures.
You should only kill these creatures when there's absolutely no other choice.
If you're going to do something, now will be a good time.
Eve suddenly activates her device, which opens an anomaly in front of her, and all the Embos start entering through it in single file, despite them being quite spread out earlier. That's convenient. Note that the baby and the mother must have gone back through earlier as they weren't present in the stampede. As Eve closes the anomaly, she times it so it looks like the last one's legs get cut off. I hope it's okay. It's also unclear whether Eve sent them back to the correct time and place, though she probably did if she knew how to work the device. If these indeed lead to the same place, it could mean that the earlier anomaly and this anomaly are the same, making them a fault line anomaly. The music playing here is a remake of the Mystery of the Anomalies theme.
How did you do that?
Connor is fittingly shocked by what just happened, since the knowledge of the anomalies is usually secret, and that he's been studying the anomalies, but he doesn't get much of an answer.
Technology simple enough?
Really? Try me.
With what the team just witnessed her do, they should probably lock her up and demand her to answer.
So if you know anything at all, just tell us.
You can also hear one of Helen's themes from Series 1 and 2 playing in this scene, perhaps foreshadowing Eve's true identity. Eve instead demands to be taken to the Ark after refusing to elaborate, seeing how she's somewhat gained the team's trust by closing the anomaly, and since she wanted Christine to take her there in the first place. She also steals a gun from an unsuspecting Special Forces soldier as she gets in the car with Danny and Abby to go to the Ark.
This is her book. See what you make of it.
As established in episode 6, Sarah is a good code cracker of diaries, so Danny gives Eve's diary to Sarah, who finds various notes saying 333. A real page turner, this one. The note 333 will be important for the next episode.
I'm bringing someone in to meet you.
Who? Out with it, Quinn. You know I hate surprises.
Oh, Lester, you ironic pen pusher. Christine and Wilder have once again infiltrated the Ark without any security clearance, despite the extra measures presumably put in post-episode 6.
You've really got to do something about your security.
Christine. I'd like to say it was always a pleasure, but that would be a barefaced lie.
Wow, savage. Though to be fair to Lester, Christine's ongoing meddling with the Ark's affairs has led him to be completely distrustful of her. Complete 180 from the start of the series.
Christine, what an unexpected pleasure.
A warrant for the arrest of Danny Quinn.
Oh, how the tables have turned. He was warned.
I wouldn't want you to miss the part which requires the immediate surrender of the artifact to me.
You can tell that she's very happy about this. She'll do anything for that artifact. Very strange how she managed to work such a specific request into an arrest warrant. Makes you question what on earth the minister set up this military liaison for. This shot is very similar to Series 2 Episode 1, however you can barely see through the window thanks to Michael Ralph's blue tint.
The boss would like to see you.
Danny gets called away before he can direct Eve anywhere.
Fascinating.
Eve instantly starts acting more like another somewhat mysterious woman here. She's very curious about everything in the Ark, almost as if she understands what everything does, and has been here before. So is the policy now that anyone who's remotely involved with the anomalies now just gets full access to the Ark? Sarah in episode 1, Danny in episode 5, Christine in episodes 5, 6 and 9, and now Eve. Series 3! Eve spots the artifact, and as she lowers to look closely at it, a sudden almost glitch-like effect appears, showing someone else's eyes. Very curious.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Abby brushes it off, but surely she knows better.
Believe me, it's only just beginning.
Well, that certainly isn't ominous.
You're really going to have to work on your small talk.
Where is she?
Danny plays it cool, which further annoys the enraged Christine, and attempts to hide Eve by resting his arm against the window, though he's at a loss for words. Wouldn't that just draw more attention? Note that Wilder is ready to unholster his pistol in case Danny doesn't cooperate.
I assume we're talking about a certain mystery woman.
Lester references his conversation with Danny from the last episode. Christine connects the dots and spots Eve downstairs.
I was using my initiative.
It's all turned out so well, hasn't it?
Lester, your sarcasm will never get old. Meanwhile, Sarah, Connor and Becca arrive at the Ark, and Sarah deciphers a key part of Eve's diary.
Claudia Brown.
Who's Claudia Brown?
Hang on.
Has Becca not been informed about this either? Why does Danny know, but not the head of security? He's so clueless.
There's only 2 people in the world apart from us who knew about Claudia Brown. One of them was Cutter and the other one was...
Come on!
Before they can get a chance to say the other name, the team rush to the ops room. If you haven't guessed who it is by now...
What's he talking about?
The music that plays here is the same track for when Cutter chases the cleaner in Series 2 Episode 4.
Didn't you remember me?
Abby gets deja vu. Only after noticing Danny and Wilder coming down towards her, Eve attempts to take the artifact.
Of course. People change.
This line is eerily similar to what Helen said at the end of Series 2, Episode 7.
Things can change. My, you have been busy.
Christine appears and tries to regain control of the situation with her usual smug attitude. Connor, Becca and Sarah all suddenly enter the ops room, however, to relay the news about Claudia Brown. which catches Christine off guard long enough for Eve to pull a gun on her and hold her hostage.
You know I'm not bluffing.
This is not Eve's voice any longer.
Now give me the artifact, or she dies.
Good grief, it's you!
It's revealed that the woman known as Eve was only a disguise, and a damn good one, for none other than Helen Cutter. That is one of the oddest expressions I think I've ever seen Julia Aubrey pull. Also, I guess she couldn't face, showing her face, until now. When you look back at Eve's interactions over the course of Primeval Evolved, and with characters in this episode, it becomes obvious that it was Helen all along, since she's been absent for a large part of Series 3, last seen when she shot her husband. I wonder why the disguise was necessary. It also begs the question, was Eve ever a real person, who Helen simply stole the identity of as a disguise? Of course, like every piece of tech in this series, this disguise technology is never expanded upon any further, so it's anyone's guess as to where Helen got it or how it works. Series 3? Presumably it's from the future, similar to the neural clamp from Series 2.
And you found it in the future.
I discovered a lot of things.
The way Eve's face transitions into Helen's is also quite similar to the way Mystique dissolves between characters in the X-Men films.
That's close enough. Back off!
Helen is not messing around. Gone is the playful, whimsical Helen from Series 1 and 2. How we miss that level of writing this character once had. Everyone is frozen in place.
There's no way out, Helen.
Helen does seem to be cornered, though she's not too bothered.
I killed Nick. You know I'm not bluffing.
Don't remind us. This is, of course, Helen's first time back in the Ark since the dark deed was committed.
Playing games with her life, James.
Perfectly fine with me.
That is not funny.
Depends where you're standing.
Despite the situation, Lester is clearly somewhat enjoying seeing Christine like this.
Can't let her kill Christine. Contravenes health and safety.
Ultimately, Lester does the right thing in saving Christine, and gives Helen exactly what she wants. I guess because he doesn't want Christine hurt, despite actively hating her this whole series.
The government does not negotiate with hostage takers.
Just tell me how. How you could kill your own husband.
Connor gets to ask what the viewers have been asking since episode 3, as he and we desperately want to know what's happening inside Helen's mind, and how she justifies her actions, since Connor's still mourning for the loss of the professor.
I had no choice. I loved him.
This is a load of barnacles.
Helen, you certainly did have a choice, and chose to kill him.
You're a human being, you have a choice.
As for loving him, it does look like her eyes are tearing up. Maybe she does care, but her mind is so all over the place at this point, she probably can't think rationally.
I do care what happens. This is the beginning of the chaos.
Are you talking about?
I love that Lester has no clue what's going on with Helen's various schemes.
You know, I thought that killing Nick would be enough, but it wasn't. So now I have to finish it, once and for all.
Well, that doesn't sound very good. And still no one tries to disarm her.
You follow, she's dead!
Is there no one guarding the entrance to the Ark here either? Probably not, since Helen is able to escape. The Ark team follow after. However, Captain Wilder is left in the ops room in a perpetual state of shock, as we never see this character again, though some fans have speculated that the dead body in Johnson's HQ in the next episode could be him. This is also the final time you see the original Ark building for the show, rather than the bunker thing in the next series.
Lucky for Helen, Connor got the car turned around earlier, and the guy left the keys in the car.
I'll make sure no one follows you.
Is Christine still trying to get out of this and side against the Ark? The same next time theme variation from the pre-titles of Series 2, Episode 7 plays here as Helen drives Christine back to her headquarters. The fact that Helen is still perfectly comfortable driving here whilst also pointing a gun at Christine the entire time shows how skilled and ruthless she is. Note that the gun is uncocked in the close-up shot.
I thought you were supposed to be intelligent.
Like with Oliver Leake, Helen looks down on Christine Johnson and sees her as nothing more than an asset for her own plans. I'm surprised she knew the way to the HQ. Was Christine directing her? Or did she see you when being transported from the future as Eve?
We have the artifact, control of the anomalies. Think of the power.
Christine sounds a lot like Oliver Leake here with her motivations.
And I intend to be very, very powerful.
Helen, of course, has other ideas.
You propose an alliance? confess as correct. Request denied.
The track playing here is used in Series 2, Episode 5.
You started this.
Oh, make up your mind here. Who's to blame? First you blamed Nick for the future, and now Christine? Maybe the problem is you, Helen.
One ambitious little civil servant who ends the world.
This is a great line and fitting for what's in Helen's mind right now.
I've seen the future. And it's all your fault.
How can you be so certain here? From what evidence? The music here is a lowered pitch version of a track from Series 1, which then turns into the track which plays when Stephen is in the lift shaft in Series 2, Episode 2. This track is seemingly used because of its ticking instrumentation, indicating a countdown timer for the team to beat.
No, not through there. What are you frightened of, Christine? After all, it's a world you made.
Christine seems genuinely scared of the future here. It would be so interesting to know why before... Oh. Series 3? Helen smiles and follows, and the anomaly closes just before the team can reach it. Did she close it? There is an extended shot of this in the previously segment for the next episode. Instead of going through all this, Helen could have just shot Christine like she did with Nick, but I guess she wanted to show her what the future was like from her actions. It draws parallels to Leek sending the future Predator to kill Lester when...
No, look, if Leek wanted to kill you, he could just have pushed you down the lift shaft, but he didn't.
Also an anomaly closing just before Danny can go through. This could be subtle foreshadowing. Note that the light cast from the anomaly remains after it's closed. Also, did Johnson's men just let the ARC team through? For some unknown reason, the anomaly reopens again with an injured Christine flailing through in some sort of predicament. Did Helen reopen this anomaly momentarily just to mess with everyone? Anything's possible with Series 3, Helen.
Help me!
I've got you. When it comes down to it, even though Christine's been an antagonistic character throughout the whole show, she's not evil, and the team does the right thing in trying to save her.
Hello there.
Unfortunately, Johnson is then dragged through and is presumably eaten by the Predator in the future. If you stop to think about it, the logistics of Helen throwing Christine to the Predators, then letting her partially run back through must have been a nightmare. How was she not attacked as well? The anomaly then closes again, and with that, Christine Johnson departs the show, in a somewhat satisfying way given how she was an antagonist for most of her run, although it doesn't quite feel like a resolution for her character. It's also not entirely clear if Christine was even part of Helen's plan. As we find out, her death doesn't stop the Series 3 future in the next episode, and Helen may have just kidnapped and murdered Christine as leverage to escape the ARC standoff. In the audio commentary for episode 10, series producer Tim Bradley said, Christine was dragged to her demise, before adding, we imagine. So it's unclear if she could still be alive, or if Bradley was just mentioning that we did not see her death on screen, and it was up to the viewer's imagination to fill in the blanks.
We don't know where she's gone.
I think we do. The same place we lost your brother. The future.
Danny correctly predicts the source of the anomaly. We have another line which feels like it was probably Cutter's originally. And just in case you hadn't seen enough shaky cam last episode, Danny's flashback uses shots from episode 8, but without the harsh filter, which makes it look more normal. The first shot is actually from the end of episode 1, but reversed for some reason, so this is not the racetrack anomaly. The last shot of Danny running is an extended shot not fully seen in episode 8. Note that Helen obviously didn't know about the racecourse anomaly linking to the same place and time in the future, or she would have dealt with that before leaving the present again to stop anyone following her. We then get an epic group shot with some very cool music as the team presumably head back to the Ark with Danny, ending the episode by saying,
Follow Helen, wherever she goes, to the end of time if necessary.
In closing, episode 9 takes place over half a day, and the next episode takes place directly after, making it the third direct two-parter in the show. Join us next time for the breakdown of episode 10 of Primeval Series 3, but stay to the end of the credits for Alfred's breakdown of Primeval Evolved Week 9.
Week 9 of Primeval Evolved was released 2 days after episode 9, with the clue word being future.
Lester calls you into his office, as he has found out from security footage that you've been helping Helen Cutter, who you thought was Eve, and he gets very angry with you and sends you back to your lab.
You know, we work so hard to keep the Ark secure and safe. Reviewing our security measures over and over. We play out every scenario we can imagine, hoping, believing we've got everything covered. And yet Helen Cutter still manages to infiltrate the Ark. No, worse than that, we bring her into the Ark ourselves. And I ask myself, how is this possible? How could this happen? So I decided to take a look at the security recordings. And you know what I found? It's a rhetorical question. You know exactly what I found. Footage of you photographing and uploading confidential Ark research to none other than Helen Cutter. Or what did she call herself? Eve. Was that it? Oh, she told you that the future of the entire planet was at risk, that she needed your help, yeah? So you just passed on classified information of national importance. It's treasonable, you know. Once upon a time, you'd have been put to death for it. Well, unfortunately, we can't do that anymore. I don't know what the punishment was for being gullible, but you'd have got that too. Nevertheless, you're not the first to be duped by Helen Cutter. She's cunning, very convincing. You're going to have to make this up to the team, you know. Go back to your lab while I work out exactly what that will involve. Go on!
The interaction items are the sketchbook, which has a profile on the Embolotherium, and Temple TV, where Connor elaborates on the troubles with time travel, and also states, if you ever time travel to a different time, don't do anything but try to get back.
How cool would it be to travel back through time? Yeah? Agree? Of course you do. But think about this. Everything that exists now is because of what happened before. So if you ever change something in the past, you might mess up the present or even the future, and that is huge. So my advice to you, if you ever accidentally find yourself time traveling, then do nothing except try and get back.
This week's game is Big Bug Bash. Lester asks you to make up for what you have done and sends you to Christine Johnson's headquarters to investigate an anomaly. Once there, you are attacked by a Megaropteran, and you must defend yourself by throwing objects at the creature. Eventually, you are forced to flee through the anomaly into the future. To be continued. This is Alfred signing off.